Time is 2 o'clock, so please sit down. Let's start the workshop. The goal of the workshop is to discuss technical rule changes in all figure skating disciplines. And to present the changes, I'll ask the 3 chairs one by one to do their short presentations. First, Fabio Bianchetti, Chair of the Single Pair Technical Committee.
So, hello to everyone. So we can start to speak about the technical rules proposals for the changes for the next 2 years. I need to have this, okay. And it is here to go on. Let me see. No.
Green.
Green, okay. Okay, so our proposals are based mainly by what was coming out from the referee reports and the technical controller reports. And we have received also some proposals from Belarus, Canada, and Netherlands, and suggestions from coaches, judges, and technical specialists and controllers, and the representative of the skaters. So all these proposals are coming from the base of our sports. The first changes proposed is the jump sequence. As you know, the jump sequence today is composed only by 2 jumps, and the second one must be an axel type jump. We would like to have more possibility and more variety, and to avoid some problems that are coming out when the jump sequence are not executed exactly what was the old definition. And so the jump sequence, the new definition, it is what you see is written, that consists of 2 or 3 jumps of any number of revolution, and the second or the third jumps can be an axel type jump. So the possibility is that the jump sequence has 3 jumps now, not only 2, and that the double axel can be the double axel or the triple axel or the single axel can be the second or the third jump. And this will allow much more variety. The other big change is that all the jumps executed in a jump sequence receive the base value indicated in the scale of value, and not the 80% like it was before. So there will be no difference anymore doing a jump sequence or a jump combination or a solo jump. So the value of the jump will remain the same. And so this increases the possibility and the value, clearly, of the jump sequence. Sometimes before, the jump sequence was not used because the value was reduced respect the jump combination. Another change is about the step sequence, in which, for now this is related for the short program, unlisted jumps of any number of revolution, that was the same, and listed jump with maximum 1 revolution may be included in the step sequence. So also jumps of 1 revolution can be included, and they are not be called. This is because jumps of 1 revolution, basically it is now certain kind of movement or steps, and it was unlogical to penalize skaters that has done this in the jump, in the step sequence. So in this case, again, we allowed something that was not so much logical anymore to keep as a deduction. In Junior Well-Balanced program for men and women, we have included a choreo sequence instead of the step sequence. The reason for this is, there are two reasons. The first reason is that the step sequence is already in the short program, so in the free skating was maybe better to have a different element and to make the junior skaters prepared to, when they will go to senior, to do a choreo sequence. The second is that this choreo sequence was already in the pair program and not the step sequence, so to have certain kind of consistency with also the program of the pairs. I can understand that somebody is saying that choreo sequence is an element that it is sometimes is not judged so well, and maybe to have in junior will not be so good. But from the other end, we think that to have this element is important, and the fact that sometimes this element is not judged so well should prevent the fact that to have some kind of innovation. So we really think that if they start since the beginning to develop also the choreo sequence, we will probably have better choreo sequence in the future and maybe also in senior program. Now here is just something related to the jump combination and the jump sequence, because the rule has to be changed related to what it was before, because you can have in the free program 2 jump combination and 1 jump sequence, or 3 jump combination. So but you cannot have 2 jump sequence, and you cannot have or jump combination or sequence with 3 jumps, so only 1 can be. So this is practically, it is the rules adapted that you can have 2 jump sequence, 2 jump combination and 1 jump sequence, or 3 jump combinations, and only one of all of them can be of 3 jumps. So it is just a correction related to what it was before. And I think the next one is the same. So this paragraph has to be deleted, because before there was no possibility to have jump sequence with 3 jumps. Again, the same situation for the step sequence related to the free skating. So unlisted jumps of any number of revolution or listed jump with maximum 1 revolution can be included also in the step sequence without any penalties, and they will not go to occupy any box jumping element. If it is executed in a free program, a jump with more than 1 revolution, this will be counted and will go to occupied, will be called and go to occupied a jumping box. Choreographic sequence. This is it was taken out. It is taken out that the choreographic sequence must have at least 2 different movements, like spiral, Arabex, spread eagles, in-up hours, idle braining, and it was crossed out steps and turns. I try to explain because this sometimes is creating a little bit of confusion. It is not that in the choreo sequence cannot be steps and turns. Clearly they can be, because when you are skating you are doing this. It is that how it was before, it was enough for a choreo sequence to have just steps and turns, like the step sequence theoretically, but without any counting of features and so. So the fact is that we would like to have something that makes the choreo sequence more understandable, more recognizable, to have some movement. And it is enough to have 2 movements of any kind. These are just examples, but can be even others. And take out that if you are just doing steps or turns is not enough. But I would like to be clear. Maybe we can find a in the future a better wording, but that it is not that you cannot do steps and turns. You can do steps and turns. It's just that they are not enough, just them, to be confirmed the choreo sequence. For pairs, this is just practically a clarification, but how it was written before was not so clear. So all lift must have a different abbreviation, clearly in free skating. And if there are two lift of group 5, this has to have a different takeoff and hold and a different abbreviation. If the second one has the same abbreviation of the first one, or we have, for example, two lift of group 4 in the free skating, the second performed is going out, but will still occupy the box. So practically there is no changes, it's just a changing of wording to make it more clear, because how it was written before sometimes has created some problems. Here it's an amendment that we would like to propose before and after. You could amend as well the technical proposal, but you know the technical proposal can be amended, and when they will be voted, they can be voted with the amendment. The rule 621 para 4, it was also the rule that we have seen before, but we have forgot to put the same test for the choreo sequence for pairs. So this is the same text that I just have read for the singles that should be also in pairs, because pairs should be harmonized the definition with the single. And so this is just the same definition, that it is not reported in the proposals because it was done at the last moment. This was one thing done the last day, and it was forgot to put in the agenda. So after, I think we have to ask your opinion if you agree that also the same text will go also for the pair skating. For general, after we talk maybe about this, for the part related to technical, the real technical part on single and pair, we have no other things except one thing that we will discuss later about the components. But I just would like to ask you if you have any questions related to what I have read, and if you have any proposals, any things to be discussed, if everything is clear. Lisa?
Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yes.
So we just have a question about proposal 211. Can I have a question about that now, or will you come back to it later?
211, for what it is?
It's about the junior having choreographic sequence.
Yes. Okay, no, now, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we have a question about implementation, because as it's written, it will start from this season on in August, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is the proposal, yeah.
Yeah. Then we will ask for an amendment, and it will be valid from next season. And the reason we will ask this is we are now already in June. Most skaters have already put a lot of effort and paid choreographers and done their programs. So we will ask for it to be working from next season, so skaters can be well prepared. Thank you.
Yeah, I can reply saying this personally, and I think the committee has no problem about that. The only thing is that maybe this is happening when there is Congress, but people has already read the proposals, and for what I know, most of them are already preparing programs with choreo, thinking that this will be proposed. So probably we will have some skater that has done the program in this way and some other that have not proposed that. So in my opinion, we can be absolutely, we can extend 1 year this actual situation and postpone this for in 1 year, so to be implemented only in 1 year. No problem. I think my committee, what do you think? It's okay? Yeah? But in the vote, I would like that you consider that probably there will be half enough, the situation. Somebody would like to speak about this?
Fabio,
Yes?
tomorrow we must have all proposals amended or not amended.
Yes.
So by tomorrow, the committee must come to a conclusion if the proposal stays as it is or is amended that it starts 1 year later.
Yeah, but I would like, it clearly is not a vote because, you know, we here we cannot vote, but I think it is interesting for us to understand how many of you would like to have this proposal amended of for the 1 season, or how much would like to be implemented immediately. So I think it is good for us to understand, because otherwise we are again in a situation that we don't know what is your opinion. So it's not a vote official, but if you raise your card, we can understand what is the majority thinking.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm
going with Fabio's proposal, who is in favor to postpone for 1 year? Raise your cards. Who is in favor of starting immediately?
Half and half.
More or less. So by tomorrow, the committees must come to a conclusion.
Yeah. Can we maybe count a little bit more, because it is who is in favor of next year again? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27 around. And 3 more. Okay. So 30. And who is in favor to keep it like it is now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. 25 others. So 25 against 23. Okay, so now after we will discuss. Okay.
Okay. Any other questions to Fabio? Okay, then we'll continue with the... okay.
Yeah. And there is another thing, sir. I would like that you, if you agree to amend the proposal related to the steps in the choreo sequence in pairs. This one. Do you agree? Do you agree? Somebody opposite? Okay. Maybe you want to speak about that?
I wanted to speak to a separate thing, actually, to 210. I just had a question about the listed jumps that are proposed with a maximum of 1 revolution, and whether that is likely to cause confusion in some of the lower grades, so not necessarily in junior and senior, but when we apply this across some. So are people going to know when the step sequence has finished if we have listed jumps in there with a maximum of 1 revolution?
So you mean not to have unlisted jumps and listed jumps, but all jumps?
No, unlisted jumps is fine. It's just the question around listed jumps and whether that becomes confusing for a technical panel calling when the end of a step sequence has actually occurred.
But in this case, if it is at the end, could be decided by the technical panel and this option by the technical panel.
That's okay. It was just whether it had been considered. Thank you.
Yes. Okay. Oleg, okay?
Hello. Yeah. I would like to ask you, Fabio, if I understand correctly, do you want to single skating and pair skating to be in line? So that means the text for this choreographic sequence should be the same?
Yes?
I would like to add to pair skating maybe small lifts. So that will make more possibilities for pair skaters to do more interesting sequences.
So to amend and include the small lift.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, this we can do. This is just, they are just examples, so they are not the only one. But maybe clearly the small lift is a part of the choreo sequence, so we can easily do it. Okay, so thank you, Oleg. Yes, Mark?
Yeah, just a small comment. Generally for us here, the last vote seemed to be about half and half, that if we're going to be a progressive and dynamic sport moving forward, we've probably got to be acceptance of changes moving the sport ahead. And while it's a long time since I've competed, basically whatever the coach said to do, you did. So I just volunteer that small suggestion for this, what we've discussed, and also many other things that we will be discussing. Thank you.
Okay, another one?
Good afternoon, Chair and delegates. Enzo de Guano from SA Figure Skating. I'd like to propose an amendment to the wording of Rule 612, Proposal 212, regarding the choreographic sequence. In order to avoid any confusion, I'd like to add, propose to add, that we add the wording to the end of the sentence, after etc. However, steps and turns may be used to link the two or more free skating movements together. Then it is clear what you explained.
Yes. Okay, it's okay for you? Yes? Okay. No. Yes? No, one moment. Have you took notes? Yeah. Can you take notes about this
I would
amendment?
suggest that the delegates gives it to Fabio in writing.
Okay. Paolo?
Just a clarification on spins. If there is some limitation in spin, because I personally think that a normal spin of 12 revolutions completely interrupt the concept of sequence. So probably, in my opinion, it is better to fix some limitation to spins, like spinning movements, flying entrance or something like that, because a normal spin really interrupts completely the sequence, the definition of it.
I don't know if we can put it now because we can amend only proposals that are proposed. So I don't know if we can do this now, but we can take it into consideration maybe in future, yes. Okay, so if there are no other questions, so the amendment about the choreo in pairs, it's okay. And just two small things, just to say about the general, not general regulation, but technical regulation that are related also to other disciplines. It is proposed the reverse order for short program and for the free skating in for the Grand Prix, and this it is a request made by the Grand Prix groups that would like to have this kind of order and not a draw before for their Grand Prix event. This because it is more interesting for the audience, so it's just a recommendation that we have received. And the other things it is that for...
Just a second. This also relates to ice dance. It's for singles, pairs, and ice dance, the reverse order for these competitions. Okay, thank you.
And the last thing is that for the pair skating in the ISU Championship, we would like that even when you pass the exam for the ISU exam and you are theoretically able to judge all the events, before going to judge a pair event, you have to have at least 2 competitions, 1 ISU event and 1 international competition judged in pairs before going the first time of your life to judge a championship. This because sometimes happened that somebody passed the exam and they are coming from nations that they have no experience in pairs. They never judged a pair competition for their life, and the first competition of their life it is maybe the World Championship. I mean, so at least to have some experience before going to judge. So it's just to be safe and to be fair with the skaters. So that is the proposal for that. Okay, so I have finished. I was a little bit longer than what I thought. And thanks everybody, and thanks Alexander.
Okay. Helena Gardon-Poltarak, Chair of the Ice Dance Technical Committee.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm very pleased to show you the proposals for the Ice Dance Technical Committee. And that what we start with is the report of the chair. And we have got proposals and comments from 3 members, Canada, the Netherlands, and Belarus. We reviewed the proposals and considered them for amendments to the rules. Also, we have got many proposals and suggestions from through the reports from technical controllers and the referees, from officials, and suggestions from coaches and skaters. We had many meetings with the skaters and coaches during various competitions and also championships. Unfortunately, we had only championships when we were possible to make our meeting, annual meeting with coaches, just at championships in 2022. But nevertheless, we got many suggestions and various comments, and most of the ideas related to the technical rules were integrated by IDTC in the amendments proposed to the Congress. So you will see these comments and various ideas which are included. So, going to the general technical rules, I will show you in the reverse order than Fabio. So we start with the general technical rules. And for the general technical rules, for the rule 501, this is a proposal 199, it refers to closing. There are 2 changes to amendments to this rule. The first one, we included Olympic Winter Games and Winter Youth Olympic Games. To be clear that they are also international competitions, and the closing requirements apply to all those events. And the other change is that we deleted the requirement the ladies must wear a skirt. I think that our committee was the most conservative in the case of the closing, so all other committees deleted these requirements, or they did not have this requirement. But now we are in line with singles and pairs, and the ladies are allowed not to wear dress, but to have trousers as in other disciplines. And the other, other proposal, which is a joint proposal with Singer and Pair, relates to the number of judges in the panels at the 4 continent championships. And for this, I would like to ask Sean Redstad to present this proposal.
Hello, everyone. I'm delighted to present this proposal because it shows we've had wonderful growth in the 4 continents nations, with additional countries joining the group. And so what this ensures is that as this growth is happening, we now have more opportunity for those officials to have the ability to judge at the championship. So it is a small financial addition of 4 judges, 1 in each of the events. And it also ensures that if there is a cancellation at the last minute, the panel can still stay at 9 judges versus dropping down to even below that, which is the desired amount for a championship level event. So I hope you would approve this and acknowledge this growth is happening in the Four Continents region as well.
Okay, thank you. Now we move to the technical rules for ice dance. And as you know, during last 6 years, we did many changes in ice dance, and these changes were done not at the one time, but gradually. So that what we are getting now is the result in ice dance. That's the result for all these changes made through these years. Therefore, for this Congress, we just have a few proposals. They are just small changes, small amendments. For the rule 521, no, sorry, for the rule 704, this is proposal number 215. This relates to the dance spin. We have changed the text for the dance spin requirements, and we made this simplified definition, and we also, with this definition, could delete the whole point for the combination spin, because we allow us now for the dance spin to change foot or not change foot, and to do the spin with the many changes of foot. So we hope that this gives more variety and creativity for the dance spin. But when we were sending the proposal and it was published in the agenda, in the meantime, we decided that maybe it's not clear enough. So we would like to amend this proposal, and we would like to ask the Congress to accept this, that instead of or with, as you can see here, so to be performed on the spot around the common axis on one foot or with changes of foot by one or both partners, we would like to change this or with 2 words, with or without. We think that this clarifies what we really want to see in this dance spin. So this is for the amendment, and that I would like now to hear whether you agree with this amendment or no, because we need, if you agree, we need to make this amendment for tomorrow with these 2 words. Do you agree? Who is against? Maybe first. No, but, okay, 1. Yes, Ingrid.
I'm not against it, I just have a question. It sounds in the amendment text like you also allow skaters, one of the couple, to change foot and the other go without a change of foot.
Exactly,
correct?
one of the partners.
Yeah, one of the partners,
yes,
okay.
Yes, exactly.
So whatever, and
That's
one may do 3 and the other one do nothing.
Absolutely,
okay, but
yes.
that was in the first one as well, I think. I wouldn't say we need an amendment, but anyway.
Yeah, but
okay.
We think that with or without makes it more clear. So just this kind of amendment, so I hope that everybody agrees. Yes? Okay, so thank you. Yes? Okay, so for the next one, we would like to withdraw the proposal number 216 for Rule 704. That's what we have in the bracket, or throw jump. So we are not including throw jump in the rules. So this proposal is deleted. Okay? Withdrawn. Okay? So for illegal elements, we have very small amendments. For para E, that's just a clarification. We deleted legs and we just have feet around the deadlifting partner's neck, what is not allowed, it's illegal. And for the G, we just, this part with bracket is not needed as proposal 216 to include a throw jump in the rules is withdrawn. So this is out. Okay. The next one relates to the proposal for free program components. And if the proposal for free program components is accepted, then we have to amend the wording for the requirements for pattern dance. And this it relates whether the free components will be accepted or not. And this marking pattern dance also, we had to adjust to the free components, new proposal for free components. So if it will be accepted, the new free components for the pattern dances will be timing, presentation, and skating skills, and the wording and the descriptions for this timing, presentation, and skating skills you have in your agenda. General requirements for the rhythm dance, the same reason, to update the wording in line with the proposal for free program components. If accepted this proposal, then these amendments will be done. And this is the last one, music characteristic for the free dance. We tried to make the rule clear based only on the structure of music. So the music must be suitable for the couple's skating skills and technical ability. It's not based on structure music and is too subjective, so we decided to delete this requirement. So that's all for the ice dance technical proposals. So if you have any questions or amendments, then you have time to ask now.
So, any questions to Halina?
Everything clear. Okay, thank you very much.
Everybody understood everything, no questions. Okay. Synchronized skating, Philip.
Mr. Vice President, ladies and gentlemen, this is the workshop presentation from the Synchronized Skating Technical Committee. It is a joy to work with the team for the past 4 years, and our proposals are coming from the report from referee, controller, skaters, and coaches. I was too fast. Thank you for the proposal from Canada. This proposal improves the organization of definition, which is consistent with the other discipline. So we accept it and we include it inside our proposal. And this supports the harmonization, and which is one of the goals of the ISU. Since 4 years, our committee has worked on the simplification and clarification of the existing rules. So this year, again, for this Congress, we are keeping our goal, and here our technical rule proposal: simplification and clarification of existing rules, inclusion of the proposal from Canada figure and harmonization with other disciplines, revised program component if accepted, and for some element like artistic element, creative element, and mixed element, we are deleting the most unessential requirements to allow freedom for choreography and creativity to the coaches. So that's, you have all these proposals from 235 to 249. Most of them are harmonization, simplification, we don't have any new things coming. So do you have any question? No?
Jeanette King from New Zealand. Just a question under 236. The wording "only if required" was added, but required by whom and at what point in time? It's a little bit, is it only if required as communicated or as per ISU communication? It's just a little bit open. So it says the lifted skater must be set down. The insertion is only if required. By whom? So does it mean only if required by an ISU communication?
Only for, yes. Okay, for the 236, so it's for the lift, actually. So only if required. That means that, for example, if during the season we require a group lift for the short program, for example, we can ask the group lift to be set down, to be called by the technical panel. Why we say that? It's because now we want to give more freedom to the coaches to not set down a group lift or a pair lift if required as a requirement element. So it just there is nothing really special, and if we ask it, it will be in a communication. Yes. Do you have more questions?
Okay. Now we touched all three technical rules, 600, 700, and 800, but we also have a package of 500 proposals. One of them is a proposed transition from 5 components to 3. And to explain, I would ask Paolo Pizzocari and Liana Karen to give some additional explanations. Fabio wants, Paolo, wait a second. Fabio wants to say something.
Yes, so as you see, we have not touched that in our presentation, the proposal 201, that it is related to the change of the number of components for the, all the competition, single and pair, ice dance, and synchro. We have left this as the last subject because this is the most interesting, in a way, innovation, and it is probably the one that will make our meeting more lived and with more debate. So I would like just to make an introduction about that. So why the 3 committees has decided to propose this proposal? The reason is that after 20 years of the evaluation with the 5 components, we have to admit that the component side is the weakest part that it is in our judging evaluation. The reasons for this are probably many, and it will be not just with one change that probably we will resolve the problem. But we are thinking that we should start a process of innovation to have a better result. And so that's was the reason that pushed us to do something, try to have a better evaluation. We think that if the components are not judged as we would like to, it is not a lacking of knowledge of the judges. Because during the seminars and during the roundtable discussion, the majority of the judges saw that they have the knowledge and they know how to use the components mark. But finally, the outcome during the competition, it is different, and most of the time, as we said, is not successful. One of the possible reasons is that the actual request with 5 marks and with 27 criteria is too much demanding and very difficult to apply in such a short time at the end of the performance of the skaters. Plus that, too many criteria are overlapping, and this made complicated to establish different marks for each of one of the 5 components. So therefore, the 3 technical committees have asked the help and the cooperation of the most knowledgeable persons in the judges area that we have, that are the components moderators group, and to study a possible change. After 2 years of study of the components moderator group, the outcome is the proposal that you have in the agenda. And the proposal is going from 5 to 3 components to get mainly the following goals: to simplify the system and reducing the numbers of marks that has to be given, to reduce the number of the criteria and avoid overlapping criteria, and to have more logical and simple way to evaluate the programs. So now I would like to ask Paolo Pizzoccari and Leana Caron, that are the main author, and we really thank them for all the work that it has done, to make a presentation about that, and after their presentation we can have a discussion with all of you.
So good afternoon to everybody. And it's really our pleasure to share with you the work that was done in these 2 years. It was a big and long work that finally came to this proposal that you have in front of you. And we will try to explain now very shortly and with very simple words what was done. And then we are here to explain more in detail to the people that are interested, and we have some copies for you if you are interested, but the discussion could be too long, and so we would like really to focus on the main and the major changes that were done. So what we did. We try to better organize the previous rules. And so nobody must be afraid that the skating will be simplified. Our beautiful programs will stay the same. There is not any change for skaters, coaches, and choreographers. This is the main thing. So we just reorganized the rules, we simplify the word, and above all, we avoided a lot of overlapping. As Fabio and as the technical committee chairs said before, the reason of this not really good judging component could be many. And probably the way to approach should be done in more than one point. But this is really a beginning. This is something very important to start. Is a change, and the regulation is more clear. The components, the criteria are more clear. So this is a simplification of the work for the judges. And this simplification, in our hope, will bring to better judging and to better evaluation of components, which is what we really want, to have a fair judging to our wonderful skaters. So the reasons are many. As Fabio said, there are too many criteria, and probably it's, I would say, impossible to identify and objectify all the 27 criteria. And it's not a lack of knowledge of the judges. It's really impossible for our brain, and we must trust the neuroscientist. Our brain is not a computer. We cannot input 1,000 of information and pretend that the more inputs there are, the more precise is the answer. Only very small part of our decision come from consciousness. The most of our decisions come from unconscious and are influenced by biases. And so if we don't have time to think and to work, probably our final decision is a sort of average mark that we give to the skater based mainly of our unconscious then conscious. We have to trust the science. It's not my think, it's not my thought, it's what the science says about our brain and our physiology. And then, of course, there are many overlapping criteria, many overlapping definitions, some ambiguous definition, like this intellectual involvement, or, for instance, transitions. Transitions is a component with 4 criteria now, but transitions are skating skills, transitions are compositions, transitions are interpretation. So there is a lot of overlapping. So with this work of reorganizing the wording and reorganizing the criteria, we really hope to have simplified the judging for judges, and nothing is simplified in skating.
So each component, the aim of the work that we've done for the committee is that we arrive at each component specifically defining a particular aspect of skating. In arriving at these 3 areas of focus, wherever possible, and as was said, we tried our best to untangle or eliminate the overlap and or any ambiguity in definitions. This has been done for 3 main reasons, or 4 rather, and that's to make the job of a judge, the understanding by skaters and coaches, and by the public in terms of what these marks mean, better. The first of the 3 distinct components is composition, which is how the program is designed in relationship to the musical structure, namely phrase and form. The second is presentation, how the skater performs the program in connection with the music. And the third is skating skills, and that is all about the foundational technique of skating and the foundational technique of movement and how they're executed together. We believe that these 3 components will allow one to better define the artistic abilities of the skater, the choreographic elements of programs, and the underlying technique of both skating and movement.
And anticipated outcome, what we think could happen. We are quite sure that the program component scores better reflected with refined and distinct criteria. Clearer feedback to the skaters, simplified and reorganized in a more logical way, and better guidelines for officials. So the programs, as I said, will remain the same. Nothing was simplified. Nothing changes for the skater, coaches, and choreographers. In consideration of this reorganization of a criterion concept, the judges will be able to express scores more in line with the requirement of a criteria, and we hope the judgment will be better.
In summary format, you can see the criteria of each component listed here. From a definition of composition, this is the construction of the program, or the intentionally developed and/or original arrangement of the repertoire of all types of movements into a meaningful whole according to the principles of proportion, unity, space, pattern, and musical structure, which are the criteria. Presentation, or the performance element, which is a demonstration of engagement, commitment, and involvement based on the skaters' understanding of the music and of their understanding of the composition. And then skating skills. This one changes for all of us. It's not only about the blade on the ice. We're also talking about one's ability to move and be controlled in that movement, wherever that movement is. So this is the precise and fluid execution of the repertoire that we're used to, which is of steps, turns, and movements demonstrated with precise blade and precise body control. So this is where we're taking elements of what we used to call carriage, and we broaden it over to foundational technique. And foundational technique is about blade and about body.
To conclude the advantages of the three components, I repeat, but it's very important to understand that it is not a simplification of skating. We will not be back to the programs of 20 years ago. We will have in our expectations more clearly defined criteria with logical grouping to each component. And this is very important, and this is for sure a step forward. This reorganization is more clear. There are three different groups of area of evaluation, as Liana said. Then removal of ambiguity or confusing terminology. We can discuss forever on this content, on the meaning of a criteria, but then we have 2 seconds to decide. We cannot think in a too sophisticated or too philosophical way. So we have to be very practical, very consistent, and very short. So everything must be clear, and the clear definitions and use of the keywords to distinguish each component. So to summarize, you can see the principle that we try to follow and the anticipated outcome. First, as I said, we have brought more clarity to definitions of each criteria. Second, we removed ambiguous or confusing terminology. And third, we introduced targeted, more specific words to serve as reminders to judges.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We are here for any questions you have.
Just to add to that presentation, that we as three committees, we decided that if the proposal for 3 components will be accepted, there will be 1 year without evaluation of component score by the OEC. The only what will stay is evaluation of the OEC for the national bias. But the scores will be not evaluating. So OEC will not watch the scores, but just the cases with the national bias. That's what we hope that will help also that these three components will be judged freely and really will show that what was presented by skaters. There will be good feedback for the skaters.
Okay. Jeroen, please.
Jeroen Prins, Netherlands. Thank you, Liana and Paula, for your great work and your great preparation for this project. If we go back a little bit, and I hope the chair allows me to speak a little bit, 1 minute in a general perspective, the overlaying goal that we have in this Congress, and it's reflecting in more than just the proposal from moving to 5 to 3 components, is the improvement of the evaluation of the program components. And clearly the 5 to 3 components proposal will add to that. But I also want to draw your attention to other, let's say, sets of proposals which will also help. But they're not discussed in detail today. But I still want to draw your attention to that straight away from today. That's the proposal 153 and 154 about splitting the panel. Splitting the panel in GOE judges on one side and component judges on the other side. It will lead to more focus by the judges on that particular aspect, being the GOE and the components. So judges will have more time to be precise in their evaluation. And then we have proposal 198, and Halina already touched the subject of OAC, how the OAC is evaluating. And since some years we have some changes there, and I think it plays a big role how the OAC is evaluating the judges based on individual components in, let's say, their perceived sense of freedom and liberty to express the components individually as they so wish. So that's, let's say for me, it's part of the package for this Congress to improve the quality of the components judging as a whole. But as I said, that's for tomorrow, the days after, to discuss. Then I want to go back to the proposal of the move from 5 to 3 components, and I want to add one, I think, important point to that in favor of the change. We didn't speak at this moment about, because the novice guideline has not come out yet, what will happen on the lower levels. Because at the moment, advanced novice is judged on 4 components out of the 5. Not the I think the composition is not evaluated. The basic novice are evaluated right now on 2 components. The transitions, the composition, and the interpretations are not evaluated. We have I think, big opportunity on the lower levels, and it's, I think, very important also for the developing members that this evaluation be done if we move to 3 components, for the 3 components on all levels. So from basic novice up to senior, we will then see the same criteria. And this, I think, will help a lot with the development of the skaters and the development of the, let's say, the younger skaters to be evaluated on all the criteria so that they can work on transition straight away, on a good composition straight away, and also interpretation. That was my addition to the 5 to 3 components discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeroen.
I just would like to thank Jeroen for what you said, because I have not said this, but as you have seen, there is no novice communication out from single and pair, and the reason is really to wait the Congress to decide, because in case the 3 components are accepted, clearly also the novice communication will follow this, and what Jeroen has said will be more consistent, having the 3 components also for novice competitions. So thank you.
For ice dance, the communication for novice is already published, and it is written also that the components will be updated after the Congress decision. So absolutely we agree with you that all the levels should be evaluated with the same way with the components. So.
And for synchronized skating, the novice communication is going to be published after the Congress. So if it's voted, it will be included, and we will have the 3 components also for novice.
Thank you. Mika, please.
Good afternoon, dear delegates, dear chair. My name is Mika Saralainen, and I represent Finland Figure here, but also being an ISU moderator for program components for at least 15 years, together with my colleagues. Thank you for your presentation, Liana and Paolo. I have a few questions concerning this whole proposal. I do agree that we need to do something, that's for sure. However, I don't see the problem is that the amount of components. Yes, there is a lot of workload for all the judges and the officials, of course, during the event. However, the thought of Jeroen, or the Netherlands, should I say, 154, is interesting, the split panel, because that would take away the weight of one judge. It also would give an opportunity to avoid placing skaters with the program components. I've been a referee in the last Olympic Games for ice dance in Beijing, and several the European Championships. And it's been not nice to write in my report that, yes, I find suspicion that my colleagues will place skaters by components. Giving the opportunity to give marks both on the GOEs and the components gives a power to one judge to place a skater. And why do my colleagues do that? It's not because they don't know, that's for sure. They know what they do. They wouldn't be there giving marks if they didn't. It's the fear. And it's never a good thing to have fear when you are about to give your opinion. The fear of being punished. And that should be taken away somehow. The system is not broken. We have a very, very delicate, very appreciated by other sports, delicate evaluation system, giving so much detailed feedback to the skaters, to the coaches, to the parents, to the media, after each and every performance. Detailed in music, detailed in performance, detailed there and there. Now we would compromise. We would compromise especially in performance mark or presentation, how it should call, by the presentation. It would take away the difference between being on music or being able to perform. It would combine them, there would be a compromise where almost every explanation would be accepted if questioned. I'm just worried for the skaters, because whether we accept this, we might take away the wonderful tool we have at the moment, and to give chances. I love the idea for taking away for 1 year the evaluation of the famous corridor, which is the biggest fear of all the judges during this whole system. Thank you.
Thank you, Mika. Who else? Lisa, please.
Lise Røsto Jensen from Norway. So first of all, we want to thank the working group who did a good job on clarifying and kind of the cleanup of the wording of the components. And we needed to start this process and try to find a better way to make components count in our sport. We have a sport who is based on art and sport, and we need to be sure that the rules take care of both the technical part and the art of the sport. So we were a little bit surprised that the factors of the components are not taken into consideration in this new component package, and that there's no changes proposed to higher the value of the components. Because the factors of the program components, it must be adjusted for this change to have a real impact of the result. Thank you.
Well, listen, one remark. The factors were made not to change anything that is now. The next step might be to change the factors. But at the moment, the factors were calculated proportionally to the factors that we have now, with no change.
Yeah, I would like to add one thing, that as Alexander said, because this proposal anyway create a big discussion, to propose also a change of factors that will, it is, and tomorrow we will show, very complicated to decide, because it is a very delicate situation, could represent another fact of discussion. So we said at the moment we propose to have the exact factor translated in 3 components. Another thing that yesterday we discussed, it is that at the moment, like it is in 5 components, the weight of each component is the same. In the future, maybe it can be a little bit different, because could reflect more what it is. But we didn't want to make too many things to propose. We have already the 3 components, the splitting of the panel. If we're starting to speak about all the factors, somebody could say, why not a little bit more, why not a little bit less, becomes more things. So that's the reason. So we thought to do this, and after, the next steps will be that one.
Maggie, please.
Margaret Worsfold, Great Britain. We're very open-minded about change. Change comes whether we want it or not sometimes. So we're very open-minded and interested in listening to everybody's point of view. However, whatever system we use is only as good as the people who are operating it. And I think we would like to know what education and supports will be given to judges to encourage and train us to use this new system properly.
Paolo, can you answer?
Okay. Yes, this is an important question, and in case and we hope the proposal will be voted and will pass, we worked on educational stuff, and we prepared 10 hours of video. Of course, don't cry. You can watch step by step at home. And there are 2 videos on music, one introductional video and one video for each component. And each video is around 2 hours. There are more than 120 examples, each commented for different level of skating and for all the 4 disciplines, singles, pairs, ice dance, and synchronized skating. And if the proposal will pass, this video will be posted on the ISU website, as there are now the video on the 5 components, and they will be immediately at disposal of everyone. So and for the judges is just a way to think in a more organized way. So the work will not change. It is something like the GOE from 3 to 5. We have just to reorganize our mind a little bit, but the principle of work is the same, and all the didactic material is ready.
If I can just reinforce one thing that Paolo said, and that is, unlike, or maybe in consideration of some frustration that we all have as officials when we attend seminars, the examples, which are over 120 of them provided, reflect the different merit bands ranging from poor, fair, good, very good, outstanding, etc. So we're not just talking about the Olympic champions here. We're talking about the type of skaters that we see all the time.
Thank you. Please.
Tarja Ristanen, Finland Figure, ISU referee for singles and pairs. My question is more technical. The definitions for the proposed 3 components that Liana and Paolo showed us are not the same as on the printed agenda under Proposal 201. So my question is, what do we actually have on the table in terms of the definitions of these components?
Thank you, Tarja. Paula.
Maybe to clarify, and thank you for that question, in the process or the time frame from when this was submitted to when we came today, we've received some comments with respect to bringing clarification because it wasn't precise enough. We feel that the changes that were made would fall under housekeeping or technical word? Drafting, thank you. Drafting, and so it would address it in that capacity.
If proposal is finally accepted, we must have the exact wording, and what Tarja noticed, we should have both words, if it is accepted, are in the rule book. Maybe the amendments can be shown tomorrow, or when it comes to discussion, not tomorrow. What are the changes, amendments to the text that is published? Okay, but even wording needs to be clearly visible. What is the change? Thank you for noticing.
Yes, thank you for the question. It's just a question of wording, and we thought that it was more precise and more clear, the final version, but the concept is exactly the same. We didn't change anything.
Components persons are not very precise. Yes, yes. Somebody is there. Mami, please. No, we don't hear you.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. My name is Mami Maeda from Japan, and I really appreciate this opportunity. And we have received feedback from different groups of people, including skaters and coaches, and the skating fans, and our officials. And I'd like to share our concern with reducing the program components from 5 to 3. First of all, skaters and coaches say that they appreciate 5 components since they would receive more detailed feedback and could reflect on improving their performances. So in the context of skater development, we think that the 5 components would be better. And secondly, the skaters fans point out that they are not provided sufficient information about the new components in a way amateurs can understand. They claim that they have a hard time understanding the standard for scores, which impinges on the fun of watching the competitions. So many are saying that they will not welcome 3 components. And thirdly, it says in the proposal that furthermore, the ability of one to process and precisely recognize each of the 27 criteria and award GOEs has proved difficult, if not possible. But in the past Grand Prix series, championships, and Olympic Winter Games, where well-trained judges participate, anomalies are usually seen in GOEs, while in program components, there are hardly any. So that means ISU education is working. So even if it's challenging to observe GOE and 5 components, still well-trained judges can, should be able to evaluate based on the 5 components. Thank you.
Please.
Hello, Maria from Iceland. I actually had a very similar thing as Tarja from Finland to point out that it is not the same. It doesn't have the definition in the proposal as it has in the documents that had been sent to us now previously in the past few days before the Congress. We had a lot of questions earlier that had not been explained in the proposal itself. So I just want to express how very important it is that when we vote up on this proposal, that the definition has been, that the proposal is amended and the definition follows with the proposal.
Thank you. I agree. Who else? Okay, so there are no other. Sam, please.
Sam Oxer, USA Figure. Thank you for all the great work on the new component structure. We think it has some great possibilities, but we're very concerned that we haven't heard about practical tests of this system. I mean, this is a very big change. It'll impact our skaters, our audience, our coaches, all participants, and we'd like some confirmation that it is going to change what you want to change in a positive way. And this is a big, it's going to be very visible, very public, whatever the results. So we'd like to suggest perhaps parallel testing it at championships and Grand Prix to see that you're getting the results you want to see with this new system. Thank you.
Me? You can reply. The question is, it's definitely not a change for the change. It's a desire to make our judging more fair and better. I am one of the authors of this system, and I worked at this system for 20 years. And for 20 years, we have a problem with judging components. The idea is quite good, but unfortunately, it doesn't work very well, at least up to now, because there is too much in it. So the authors of this proposal, they worked at simplifying the system, avoiding overlapping criteria, making better definitions, and they believe, and the committees believe, that this work will help to improve our judging. As to testing it, I'm not sure it requires really a test, because we are, for example, some other proposals definitely require change. Tests, like splitting the panel. And here, we're doing the same thing, but in a better way. Thank you. Yes.
Patrick Meyer, Single and Pair Skating Technical Committee. I'm the coach's representative, and I heard many times now the 5 components, they are more precise. And in theory, I can agree, but my experience tells me that often we, as a coach or as skaters, we get not a proper feedback from the 5 components because they are overlapping so much that they are all more or less in a line. In the end of the competition, we don't know what was really the problem, why we get not higher marks, because they are like all the same. I was thinking sometimes you better go back to the old system and give a mark B. It's just mixed so much together that it does not give any feedback. For me, it's not important if there are 3 or 5 or 7. For me, it's important that the skaters and coaches get the feedback they can work with. And I believe that with these 3 components more separated, we can better work with, because then we really know in which part from the components we need to progress.
Thank you, Patrick. Anybody else? Okay. Now, okay, please.
Hello. Yeah, our sports suffer from a problem that the audience doesn't really understand how it's work, and we need to be more objective, and I think to to 5 components to 3, it's a key to arrive to this step we need to go forward. So to be less opaque, more clear, more understandable from anybody, like coach, skaters, and the audience, I think we should support this motion. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Yes, please.
Barbaci from Switzerland. One small thing. I also recognize the great work you have done in simplifying the program components, reorganizing them, and trying to have criteria that do not overlap. And I think that's a really great work you have done there. We are all in favor, and it's the goal to have better judging. If I may add, in our opinion, and Mika was mentioning it, I think there is also one element that is fear, maybe, interfering in this judgment of program components. It's not only the clarification of the criteria and so on, and we will now have more time to assess and everything, but I think there is also the fact that there might be other elements interfering, like pressure, maybe from federations, or fear from OSC evaluations, or even pressure because the system is not anonymous and we might end up in social media, and you know the kind of disasters that this can create. So if I may suggest, there is maybe one more element to add in order to lift a little bit this pressure or this fear, so judges can really do their work in total freedom. Thank you very much.
Yes? Yes, no, I understand very well what Diana suggested, and I think that Diana pointed out a problem that it is not only related to the components, generally it is maybe related to the normal judging, and so about the pressure that the judges has to judge the competition, pressure that can be from their own association, the media, the skaters, the coaches in some cases, and this is clearly now with the open judging, and that was not with the anonymous judging. Clearly, we cannot go in this Congress to go back to the anonymous judges because there is no proposal on that, but I understand what you said, because this is a problem that it is come out after the opening of the marks. You know, the opening of the marks make everything more clear for everybody and not hidden. And from the other end, the problem is that the pressure on that the judges has is higher. The components were judged in the same way, not in a good way, even when there was anonymous judging. So probably the quality is not so changing so much. But I agree with you that maybe in the future we can think something to protect a little bit more the judges, even if I have not the answer now how to do it. But it is a possibility, because what you said, it is correct. And sometimes the judges now, especially with the national bias problems, the coaches problem, the media, are much more pressured than before.
Thank you, Fabio. Before we close this workshop, and we have only an hour and a half for it, I want to ask one question. As we didn't discuss in detail all the rules that are 500, if somebody has any questions on the rules with numbers 500 besides the components. Yes, please.
So Alexander, I'm sorry, I'm not so familiar with the With the procedure here, I have a question actually on proposal number 170. And
17.
170. So this is regarding
170.
Rule 412. This is not actually the 500 what you mentioned, but do we have another chance to talk about it at another point, or?
5. But 4 is special regulations. There will be figure skating section that will discuss these proposals.
Okay, thank you very much.
My question was only about rules with numbers 500. Yes, rules 500, proposals 199, till we come to the technical rules. Because we didn't discuss it in detail, maybe somebody has something. Yes, please. Not all.
Julia Andreeva, Russia. Rule 154 about the split the panels. I had experience, I was in a trial judging panel in Oberstdorf.
Julia, this is a special regulation again, so it's not the subject of the moment. It's the split panel, so it's a special regulation will be discussed in another moment of the. So
Thank you.
That's Alexander.
But
do you
maybe
agree?
wait a second.
Wait.
There was one rule.
Because it's 154.
154.
Special regulation.
But it's special regulations. This is special regulations. They will be discussed separately.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Yes, please, Christian.
Christiane Mirt from Austria. I would like to talk about Rule 513, about the reverse order. Why can't we do it for all competitions? Because it's so much easier. So I would propose an amendment for all competitions to use the reverse order.
Alexander.
Thank you. Currently, the proposal is quite different, that for skaters are divided according to the world standing in groups. Inside the group, there are 2 subgroups, and inside every subgroup, there is a draw. So a skater is assigned, for example, to the last 6 starting numbers, and then if he is, for example, in the world standing 4 to 6, he is drawn to skate in his subgroup. The proposal is to change completely to have reverse order for all competitions. Can we do it or not, Patricia? Because this, I don't know. There's no proposal in the agenda, and it's not the problem whether we like it or not, but whether we can, if either we amend the rule for Grand Prix saying that it's valid everywhere, but then we'll have to withdraw the rule proposed. I don't know. Let's, well, we don't have actually time, but let's a little bit, maybe somebody, I suppose if you spend 5 minutes, they will not kill us. Who wants to speak besides Christian? Or maybe we can ask basically who is in favor of reverse order everywhere. Yes. Bob, please.
Hello, Bob Horan, USA. This skate
changes the scope of the proposal, if there is a proposal there. This has nothing to do. So you're really enlarging something that's not there. I think it can be proposed for the next Congress, but I don't think it can be changed now.
Thank you, Bob.
Can I add a comment, just not related to the components, of course? I think that we should take into consideration mostly the skaters' desire than what is more comfortable for us. And I can tell you that the majority of the skaters are against the reverse order. First of all, because it's a kind of invitation to bias, because the later you skate, the highest are the marks first, and then because many skaters, the best skaters, don't like to wait so much time before the competitions. So during the works, I listen a proposal from the skaters that the best skaters, the first place in the short program or written dance, would like to choose the place of starting order. So I think that we should really think to what the skater wants and what the best skaters, the best placed in the first part of the competition really want for competing in the best way, and not just to think to what is more comfortable for us.
Somebody else? Mona, I see Mona.
Mona Adolfsen, Norway. We have to check if it's possible to change this, but I agree with you that we should take into consideration the skaters, but most of all, we have to take into consideration our audience, because we are actually performing for our audience. And it's not only this sport, but a lot of sports that you have the excitement, like racing, who's going to win. And it's not only for the skaters, but it's for the audience, to keep the audience and to keep the interest into the sport. And this we have to take into consideration. I'm really worried, not maybe of this only, but that we are making like adjustments for not the audience. So we have to keep the interest all over. So in reversed order, it's not because it's easier for us, because we can take the time to make the draw. It's to keep the interest and the excitement of our sports. Thank you.
The excitement. Okay, Christian, and we have to close.
So, Paulo, I have the opposite experience, because in Austria we use that for years now, and for a short program we use electronic, and everybody is used to that, and they see when they have the starting number, and so they can come late, and everything is okay, and no bias or anything.
Yes, the last one. Or two more, and that's all. But try to be short.
Ari Zakarian, Armenian figure. First of all, in my opinion, we are in a sport. That means skaters, when they come, they have to be ready to perform first or last. That's the first thing. So, and I just came back from the tour, and I spoke with several skaters who are most of them big name skaters, Olympic world champions, and all of them, they told me that they would love to have the choice of not the reverse order, but be able to perform first, second, or fifth. Also, we are talking about, for TV, maybe it's important to have only the last skaters, because the audience would like to see only the last skaters. In that case, we are losing a lot of spectators in the audience, because some of them, they would love to see more of the figure skating, but knowing that they're going to watch only the last group, so they're going to watch only the last group. So in my opinion, the reverse order, it has to be considered to really look how we can do it better. Thank you.
Thank you, Ari. Alek is the last.
Hello again.
I think this idea of reverse order could be done in certain competition, not on all of them. The reason is, for example, in Grand Prix, we inviting skaters, and most of the skaters are high-level skaters with the ISU rating. But on some competitions, international competition and domestic competitions, we have skaters without rating. And it will be difficult to put them in reverse order because they just don't have any kind of record. So because of this, we could use this idea of reverse order for example, for Grand Prix, Junior Grand Prix or Senior Grand Prix, but not for all competition. That's my point. Thank you.
Okay, we've heard various opinions, and I would like to join Bob Horan, but this is not in the agenda of the Congress, and we are not ready in any case to discuss it further on. There is the agenda, and if somebody wants a reverse order, there should be a proposal made to the next Congress, and we can discuss it, because as you see, the opinions are quite different. Thank you. One comment, okay. Evan, please.
Yeah, thank you. Just after talking briefly with our group and being here on behalf of the athletes, I think what would be really great is to have the choice to decide where we want to skate in the order if you're the leader after the short program. And I think there's even the potential to involve the audience in it in some way. That could be a cool way to not just have, because I think there's a lot of variation in opinion. Like, some people think that skating last is an advantage. Other people think the ice is terrible by the end of the group and it's a disadvantage. But for the skater who's in the lead to have the option to choose where they want to skate in the group would be really interesting, I think.
Thank you, Evan. Many years ago, I made this proposal as a joke, that the skater placed first selects the starting number for free skating. The next skater selects from what is left. And now the joke becomes not true because there's no proposal, but at least is discussed. Thank you. The workshop is closed.
I like that, I thought.
Yeah.
You way back then, I remember when you did it, but it adds some excitement. Where are they going to choose?
Yeah.
And what's the strategy? And not every skater is going to choose the same spot.
Well, correct.
No, I like it.
Some don't like to skate last.
Right. They don't like the anxiety of
Yeah,
building.
some like to skate last because they